Most videos about divorce anger are misinformed, or they're so vague they're useless. So in this video, I'm going to give you a real model for anger, showing you what it's protecting and give you a simple process to move it through your body without blowing up or turning it inward.
10, 12 weeks ago, I was this angry, disgruntled guy that, you saw me in the grocery store and you try to talk to me, I'd be grunting at you. I was under the mentality then that, again, the time heals all wounds. That's BS. Not only is that BS, not only did I go nowhere, I went down. This has changed my life. Not only has it I let go of all the rumination. I let go of the anything. I let go of the past.
That's the part people don't get. If anger isn't handled correctly, it doesn't just fade, it hardens into resentment. It drains your health and it shows up in new relationships. But when you have a process, change can happen fast. And one reason I love Michael's story is it's not just a feeling. He had an actual score. So most people are guessing, I think I'm angry or I'm fine. But with our free self-test, you can get an objective measurement of how much anger you're carrying right now, so you're not relying on mood or memory. So here's Michael's score when he first came to us, and here are his scores 10 weeks later. He went from an anger score of 1 to 88. His overall score went from 8 to 98. So we don't just guess at how people are doing, we measure it with a scientifically proven and validated test that gives us data that you can use to measure your current situation and your healing. So if you don't know me, I'm Kevin with Rebuilders International. We've helped thousands of people rebuild after a divorce ends. This is for you if you're stuck in mental replay, snapping at people you love or feel angry all the time, but you don't even show it. Anger is the most misunderstood emotion, yet it's the most recognizable for people. Now, we all know what it is, but we aren't taught how to use it. Most people turn away from it, avoid it, try to logic their way out of it. For example, they might say, I shouldn't be angry, but they are angry. What we see for most people is that they are very angry, but they don't want to be an angry person. That's what happened with Michael. He was struggling to release the anger. And the longer he was angry, the more angry he became. It was a downward spiral. So in 2025 alone, I talked to more than 900 people about their anger. What I saw was that what people usually do is one of two things with it. One is they send it outwards, or two, they send it inwards. So the outward expression of this negative energy is usually passive anger. Everything from making their partner's life more difficult, or visible anger such as yelling, breaking things, taking all the money out of the accounts, and so much more. So here's the key. Anger is energy. If it doesn't move through you, it moves into your life. Anger isn't dangerous, but unprocessed anger is dangerous. So most divorce anger comes from betrayal in some form, whether it's affairs, financial deception, emotional abandonment, disrespect, manipulation, lots and lots of different things. And for most people, the anger doesn't start as a behavior. It actually starts as a thought. A thought like, I don't matter, or I was deceived, or was it all built on a lie? Those thoughts hit your nervous system like a threat, and anger shows up to protect you. Now, I've heard some pretty awful things that partners have done to their other partner. For example, we had a woman that she got cancer, and she had only a few months to live. And her partner took all of their money and moved away. She had nothing. He knew that she didn't have long to live, and rather than stay and support her for the last few months of her life, she took everything. Now, she signed up for our program, our 10-week program, and I asked her why she wanted to do this program when she only had a few months to live. And she said something really simple that was really profound. She said, because I want to die happy. Now, it was pretty sad because she only made it to week 8 of our program. And I tell you this story because most people get it. It is one of the most obvious betrayals for somebody. And the reality is there are many more stories, all different, but I hear these stories and I can truly say, I get why you're so angry. Like, the things your partner did or why or how this came about, it's it's pretty shocking, really. And that's the thing. For most people I talk to, the anger is totally justified. But having a good reason doesn't make it go away. We can't think our way out of our feelings. In relationships, we're always asking one core question: am I safe with you? Betrayal is the moment you realize, I thought I was safe and I'm not. So that's where the anger comes from. I trusted you. Now, there's a famous phrase I want to mention. Anger is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. What does this mean? It means that no matter what happened, whether big or small, having that anger inside of you hurts you, not the other person. It eats away at our health, our relationships, our sleep, our ability to focus. And sometimes people don't want to release the anger. Why? Because they think that if they don't have the anger, it means that they have forgiven their partner for what they did. Releasing anger is not forgiveness. Remember that anger is inside of you. It's eating away at you. Release the anger, not for them, but for you. You having peace inside is the best revenge. And every moment you spend focusing on them takes away from your life. If you release the anger, you are a step closer to freedom. Now, until you do that, anger has a hold on you. And remember, the goal is not to be nice. The goal is to be free. Now, let's talk about anger itself. There's a huge spectrum of anger. On one end is frustration and annoyance or being peeved or things like that. On the other end is being irate, out of control. So anger builds in people in different ways. For some, it's like a volcano. The pressure builds over time, but then it reaches a point that it just can't be contained and the person erupts. The pressure is released. However your anger occurs for you, what I know is that if it doesn't get expressed cleanly, it creates distance in a relationship. For some people, it builds up over time to such a degree that when they erupt, they say and do things that forever change or destroy the relationship. We aren't good at expressing anger in a healthy way. In our society, we hear all the time, don't be angry. But we never say, don't be so happy. We teach that anger is not okay. In reality, it is. It's just an emotion inside of us. It comes naturally, and trying to do anger management or prevent it is impossible. If you don't learn to release the anger, it builds into resentment. And resentment is unexpressed anger plus time. Now, there's two kinds of anger. There's current anger. That's what's happening now, like tax custody conflicts, court, finances, disrespect, things like that. And the second one is there's past anger, the stored anger that divorce activates, old abandonment, old shame, powerlessness, old betrayals. So current anger often needs boundaries. Past anger needs processing. If you mix those up, you stay stuck. So learning how to release the past anger is where we focus first. Anger based on past actions is manageable. It's in the past. It's a known quantity. If you focus on the past anger and releasing that, the new things that happen in divorce are way easier. Plus, we find that when people learn how they individually process their anger, they start being able to turn toward the anger rather than away from it.
I don't have the weight. Like I literally feel like, and I guess, well, I literally feel like I lost 20 pounds, and it was emotional weight from A Christmas Carol. Jacob Marley, who is Ebenezer Scrooge's business partner that shows up as a ghost, he's dragging those chains and those big lock boxes. That to me is a perfect personification of how I was going through life. And I don't have that anymore. I don't.
Avoidance just adds to the pressure inside the volcano. For example, what I found with my current anger is that I go into a freeze state pretty quickly. It takes me time to stabilize. I have to think about something a lot before I can really then pay attention to the actual feeling and turn into it. I've found that when something happens, I at least need a night to sleep on it and let my system reset. Then the next day, it's easier for me to pay attention to what's left. What are the thoughts that are triggering the anger? Where is the anger stored inside of me? What do I need to release it? Now, people often come to us saying, I just want to be angry. How do I do that? Well, we have tried to give people some of the key exercises, and frankly, it doesn't work. Why? Because you have to approach anger in the right way. In our Rift recovery process, our four-stage process, we teach anger as the fourth lesson in the 10. First, we have to help people be able to focus, to understand some of the wiring that is happening within their thoughts. Then we need them to see how these thoughts affect their lives. From there, we have found that grief and anger are often joined at the hip. The grief causes the anger, or the anger triggers more grief. So after 40 years and about 100,000 people doing this process that we teach, it's very clear that more people release their anger better after they do the grief work. If not, they're trying to resolve the two different emotions at the same time, dealing with the grief and the anger. So we start with people's thoughts, understanding that because for many people, that's where it all begins. Your beliefs, your values, what you expected from the relationship. Those shape the thoughts that you have about what happened. And those thoughts are often what ignite the anger. So even though we teach anger later in the curriculum, the spark is often happening way earlier, inside the story your mind is telling. Now, I mentioned Michael's scores earlier, and I want to show you more specifically how we look at people's scores. When you take the free test on our website, you will get a chart that will give you scores in the 4 stages of divorce recovery. And we look at each of these scores not just on its own, but also how they relate to each other. So a low grief and anger score tell us a lot about a person's emotion and that they might be stuck and they need to do the exercises that will help release them. We also see that if a person has a low thinking or disentanglement score, that they are having trouble focusing. Each step in the 4 phases of recovery are important, but you can't work on the feelings and ignore the thinking phase. What we do know is that when people get through the lessons on feelings, they typically see their scores go up dramatically. For example, here's a student that we had, his name was Paul, and in blue are his scores when he started the program. Just 4 weeks later, after he finished the anger work, he saw a massive improvement in his scores in every area except for one. This is just 40% of the way in the program, and we saw this massive change. And this is the myth that I want to dispel. Waiting for the anger to dissipate isn't a strategy. It's avoiding the pain. I promise you that 1 hour of work can yield a lifetime of happiness. It's like learning to ride a bike. Once you see how to release the anger, you're a changed person. Now, I want to show you where anger fits into our feelings. For this, I want to use our feelings compass. And this is in our workbook on page 65. So this is what it looks like right here. So we've, in this, on the chart, in the anger section, what we find is that anger is judgment. Anger comes from something that changes from being okay to not okay. And we've identified something that crossed a line. That's when the anger comes up. Anger is when a boundary is crossed. Everyone has different boundaries. But you know when there's a change in you emotionally that something someone said or did crossed a line. So anger is often the top emotion, the protector, the visible emotion. But under it is usually one of the feelings that we don't like feeling, like hurt, fear, shame, grief. So one of the things I want you to do is you can do a quick guided example here. So when you feel angry, ask, what is this protecting? What's underneath it? If I wasn't angry, what would I feel? Hurt, fear, shame, grief, confusion, anxiety, all of these things. Okay, now let's talk about how you release the anger inside of you. A lot of people manage anger by exercising, going to the gym, running, pushing it out through the body. And that can help. But that's often just anger management. It's releasing the energy that's built up inside of you since the last time you released it. What we're aiming for isn't just managing your anger. It's truly releasing it, moving it out of you, so it doesn't harden into resentment or turn inward into hurt. So typically people hold in the anger by compressing it, suppressing it, depressing it. In fact, depression is often a result of anger that has nowhere to go. So how do you release it? Well, there's 4 main ways. What I want you to learn here today is that anger is released by expressing it. Expression means moving anger from inside your body to outside your body. So there's 4 ways that we move energy from inside of us to outside of us. Think of it like taking the air out of a balloon. We need to take the pressure out. So the 4 ways of expressing anger are physical, such as moving the energy, like lifting weights, hitting things safely, or anything that is physically demanding. The second one is breath. And this is going after the ignition of that anger. This is deep breaths, slow breaths, fast breaths, whatever works for you. The next one is sound. This is release without harm. This could be yelling, screaming, deep, forceful sounds, whether they're guttural, could be swearing, cussing, calling someone names, saying whatever is on your mind. Now, this isn't with anybody else around you. It is just simply for, I'm saying like you want to use your voice to do this. And then the fourth one is cognitive, or words. So we're trying to give it meaning. So things like writing, journaling, saying your thoughts. This is about engaging those thoughts in your head and moving them out of you. So everyone has a different relationship with their anger. They express the anger differently, but it's always one or more of these methods. You don't calm down by arguing with or managing it. You bring it down by moving it. When you release the anger, you find that there isn't that anger anymore. So I remember doing my anger work, and for the first time in about 8 months of having the same thoughts of betrayal, they were still there. But once I did the anger work, there was a quick switch where I had this moment where I thought, I could go down that path of feeling angry again, but I don't feel like it anymore. Like I've been angry and I just don't want to go there anymore. So, before I did the work, I just always went down the path of feeling that anger. But now I had a choice that I didn't have before. So now let me quickly mention that there are 5 ways that people deal with their anger. There's suppressed anger, passive anger, aggressive anger, open anger, and dropped anger. Now, our workbook goes into a lot more detail about these, but for the sake of time, I'll just show it here. So these are on page 82 and 83. Looks like this. So this is some more detail on this, but for the sake of time, I'm going to keep going on talking about the video. So let's talk now about divorce anger specifically and some suggestions I have for you. The first is, don't process these emotions with the person who triggers them. If you're trying to reconcile with your ex, then talking to them about things, that might help, if you weren't super angry. Now, if you're separating, divorcing, or divorced, then dealing with your anger by directing it at them isn't going to help. Remember, you need to move the anger from inside of you to outside of you. Your ex can't help with that. Otherwise, it's like asking someone else to heal your broken leg. Your body has to heal the broken leg itself. Same with emotions. It doesn't matter who or how it was broken. You have to deal with it yourself. Now, if you have kids, they don't need you to be perfect, but they do need you to be regulated. If you have anger due to divorce, the worst thing you can do is use them to get back at your ex, or lean on them to help you, or simply hold it in and try to function. If you focus on healing your anger, life gets a lot easier for everything. Also, a lot of times parents use the kids to hurt the other person. Don't do that. It only hurts the kids. Research has shown that the parent that tries to weaponize their kids against the other parent will eventually have a much worse relationship with their children. Kids fundamentally want to love both parents. They need both of you, or your ex can't take it away. And if you do, you'll pay for it. Maybe not now, but later. Now let's look at you. If you were taught not to be angry, you might turn the energy inward. That's not a character weakness. It's learned, and it's changeable. Some people that have cheated on their partner or fell back into drinking don't feel that they can forgive themselves. They think that if they continue to suffer, they will somehow make up for their sins. This can turn into a pity party that lasts years and gives no result. I like the phrase, for anyone, don't go to pity city. Okay? Anger also is confusing. If you have a lot of anger, that's okay. Just learning how to work with it, express it, and move on is so valuable. It helps you relate to others. For example, now when someone's angry at me, I don't take it personally. Something crossed a boundary for them. They have energy inside of them and they don't know how to express it. Sometimes being mad or using aggressive or passive anger is all that they know how to do. Now, I can sit with somebody and just listen. That's like Zen master level stuff, right? It's pretty cool to not lose your cool when somebody else does. Now, let's come back to Michael. So, Michael wasn't an angry guy. He was stuck for 5 years. And then 10 weeks of structured work moved his anger from a 1 to the high 80s.
I'm looking at your scores here, so I don't know if you remember these scores,
Oh yeah.
but I just want to read them back to you here.
Okay.
Disentanglement 15, grief 29, anger 1,
Yeah.
self-worth 17, social self-worth 10, previous social trust 33, overall 8. Right?
Yep.
Now you took the test again. 91, 99, 88, 96, 95, 97, overall score of 98. 90 freaking points.
I think I passed.
I think you got an A. Yeah. Yeah.
But getting it out, I think I said it before, like it felt like the floodgates were lifted. That's the, it just all came out. And once that all came out, it was almost like the light bulb went on, was like, wow, that was what was holding me back. That was the catalyst for me to get these numbers now. It's still surreal. It's still surreal to look at my numbers. It's still surreal to say this. And oh my God, here I am praising a divorce program, but oh my God, you did. You saved me. I am surprised in the past 5 years over the stress and anxiety and everything that I had that I did not have a stroke or a heart attack. I now know that, this, unless it's medical or unless it's predetermined, I'm not going to have a stroke or a heart attack due to my divorce anymore.
That's what happens when anger stops being a wildfire and becomes a signal you know how to read. Okay? So anger is protective energy after a safety violation. It either goes outwards as damage or inward as hurt. When you use things like the feelings compass and express it through the right channels, it moves. If you want to know what's driving your anger and what to focus on first, take the self-test. It's free. You can find the button for it in the top right corner of our website at rebuilders.net or in the description below. It shows you your pattern and gives you a next step that actually fits you. In 2025, we had over 7,000 people take this test. Why? Because it's the only scientifically validated measurement. We sometimes refer to it as an emotional recovery scorecard. It's like a weather report for what's going on inside of you. And you can take it as many times as you want, although we typically don't see people's scores change much day to day unless they've done some work that feels worth measuring again. Also, I will put a list of resources in the description below. Best wishes, be well, and please let me know if this video has been helpful by hitting the like button, or even better, by subscribing to our channel. We're planning to do a lot more of these videos that are truly helpful for people. So now that you've watched this very long video, what's your biggest takeaway that you learned from this? Let me know. It really helps me know what you got out of this. Thank you so much. Take care.